Whoa!
Whoa.
Good evening.
Hello.
Greetings and salutations.
Welcome to Talking Who.
Talking Who.
Week 2.
Yes.
And I'm your host, Elazar, joined by Sean, as usual.
Yes.
And our guest host for this week, popular British YouTube star, Barry Aldridge.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, hello, everybody. It's nice to be here talking with fellow Whovians as
Yep.
well.
Indeed, yes.
So is that the proper name for Doctor Who fans? Whovians?
Yeah, that's where it's come from. I've been watching a lot of the documentaries and they just say Whovians and I'll just stick with that, really.
Yeah, because on a lot, it's kind of like odd Star Trek. They've always properly had Trekkie and Trekker, but on a lot of other shows, you know, I think, what is it, Firefly fans are browncoats, Doctor Who fans, Whovians.
There was this period where, like, the word geek or nerd was like you couldn't be called it. But now it's like a badge of honour.
Yes.
So you don't need words like Whovian or Trekker anymore. It's just like, you know, everyone just says, hey, I'm a sci-fi geek and I'm proud.
So we've got Whovians for Doctor Who, Trekkie and Trekker for Star Trek.
I think it depends on your madness.
Browncoat for Firefly fans.
Browncoat, really?
Yes. Gators for Stargate fans.
Gators.
Yes.
Come on.
Perverts for Buffy fans. Lesbians for Xena fans.
Well, there you go, indeed. So Barry will be here in the chat room, everyone, monitoring the chat room, reading out your comments, and interacting with you.
Oh yes, and we do have a Jon Pertwee toy
and a Cyberman
toy.
It's a Tomb of the Cyberman or Moonbase, because
Telosian one, yes.
Yeah, from the Patrick Troughton black and white days.
Yeah.
But we were actually saying last week how it's very rare. It was very rare. I think it was Moonbase and Tomb of the Cybermen, and Earthshock and the Five Doctors were the only times when you had consecutive Cybermen stories where no alteration was made to a Cyberman's costume. And yet now in the current season, since they brought Doctor Who back, there's been no changes whatsoever. Every time they bring them back, they've still got their C stuck on them, things, and there's been, you know, they redesigned the Daleks again and ruined them. Why can't we get some new redesigns on the Cybermen?
Leaked photos does show that there is no C now.
I've actually seen some photos with the C on them.
Well, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe that's part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Cybermen that were introduced back with David Tennant, they came from a parallel universe.
Yes.
And then they're saying, like, they could be the ones from Mondeus, from the original series, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, some came from Mondas, but some also came from Telos. So
that's right, yes.
Cybermen come from all over the place.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to use the old classic Cybermen, you know, then they should at least have a story and write them out. Maybe the alternative universe Cybermen just take them over and absorb them and upgrade them. Yeah. Just write them out somehow, rather than just keeping it hanging. Somehow they're still out there somewhere conquering the universe, because that's what they do. So why aren't they doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I will admit I do prefer the older Cybermen to the parallel universe sort of thing. But
I agree.
Well, you get a sense that the older Cybermen can actually catch up to you if you try to run away from them, whereas the new Cybermen...
Well, you can outrun them. They just clump very slowly.
Like a metal army sort of thing, like marching orders sort of thing, you know.
But anyway, guys, we're going to be talking about The Impossible Astronaut, of course, which was the new season 32 opener.
Yep.
Start sending in your comments in the YouTube chat room now. Tell us what you think of The Impossible Astronaut. We'll read them out. Also,
already got a lot of comments coming in.
Indeed, good. We'll also be looking at our DVD review of the week. Will be Planet of the Spiders, the final Jon Pertwee story.
Finally out on DVD.
And yes, I have. John has shapeshift into me, so yeah. So just mention that. Yeah, John was my original form, and now
he's regenerated.
Yes.
I've been accused by Bag Chicken name Bag Clark. That I look like John Tickle from Big Brother 4. Do you agree? Put it in the chat room if you do. So yes, and then of course we'll be looking at some other things in the weird world of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But first off, our website is talkingwho.blogspot.com.
Yep.
There's a screen grab of it right there on the page quickly. But But let's go on to the Impossible Astronaut.
Yes, the first episode of, is it season 31 or season 6 or 32, or is it season 2?
That's always going to be a debate to Doctor Who fans about which series it's going to be. Really,
you know what? I think To Entertain should do like a double DVD covers, and you can change them round if you want them to be like season. So it doesn't say season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but actually it just continues the numbering. Yeah, you know, that would be quite good. Impossible Astronaut. What did you think?
I thought it was a great start though to opening a brand new series sort of thing, and personally, the Alien, if they are known as the Silence, I think they are. They were kind of like really interesting, but to me they don't have the scare factor at the moment. Maybe I need to watch it again and maybe watch Day of the Moon.
I thought they had a really good scare factor from when they first turned up, and it's very kind of like very Moffian kind of like thing, like with the Weeping Angels.
Yeah,
their modus operandi. You couldn't take your eyes off them. If you even blinked, they would move. With these ones, you take your eyes off them and you instantaneously forget. I thought their face and the way he destroyed that lady in the toilet was very creepy. The one thing which got me was they're in these tight suits with these huge heads and these huge hands. I'm like, how do they put them on?
How did they do their ties?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you do your ties when you've got fingernails and
I mean, do they teleport into these suits? Are they sewn into these suits?
And why do they care about suits anyway when they don't even look human? Why try to blend in with a human suit?
First thing I thought of was Men in Black. I don't know why. It's just sort of like that sort of suit.
That's obviously what they were trying to go for, Men in Black look.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of worked for them, actually. I think the costume...
But they're being already referred to as the Silence.
We don't know if that's true.
Right, because I'm wondering, are they going to tie in with who this mysterious enemy was at the end of the last series who destroyed the TARDIS?
Well, I think the Impossible Astronaut, I got a sense that this is not going to be concluded in Day of the Moon next week's episode.
There seems to be too many plot threads.
There's too many things going on here, and we're going to see, I think, a whole series-wide plot going through.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I don't think it's...
And could this all link up with the Doctor's potential murder of his future self, who we saw as future self 200 years. It was about, what he said, it was 200 years hence.
I was kind of a bit disappointed about that, actually, because it's like, when he announced what his age was, it was about 1100. I thought, well, they finally synced him up with the age that he's supposed to be, really.
Yeah, exactly.
If you went by, the last time he reported his age in Sylvester McCoy's time, he was already over 1,000, so he would be about 1100 by this point. But they've sort of put him back a few more years. Well, and he seems to now only age 1 year per Earth year, when before he used to age maybe 30, 40 or 50
well, he's
years
having all
every time he talked about his age.
I mean, when he was at the start of the story, it starts off with Amy and Rory having, their first few months of married bliss. And it's obvious the Doctor's been having all kinds of adventures. And 2 months have passed for them. And it could have been 10 years for the Doctor.
2 months since they'd actually heard from him.
Yes.
But actually, we don't know how long they had not been in the TARDIS for. And I think they were trying to get a sense that it's been a long time since they'd last seen him.
But what time-wise, the Doctor's having all other kinds of adventures going on.
But was those adventures the contemporary Doctor or the future Doctor?
We'll have to find that out. And just on another note, about the suit of the astronaut, first thing I thought of, I don't know why I just thought of this, I thought of Ambassadors of Death because of the astronaut suits in general. I was thinking, is this going to be another Ambassadors of Death sort of storyline? If you have seen it on there, it is a very, very sort of adult story, and it to me, I found it valid reasons why the villain, who is the villain, I'd rather not spoil it if anybody hasn't seen it at all. So.
And again, sort of echoes of Silence of the Library with, the Vashton Narada as well.
Yeah, someone has actually mentioned in the chat about they thought it tied into the Silence in the Library.
And I think that's a lot of thing about, you can see in Moffat's writing, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of echoes,
Well, the thing I always notice in Moffat's writing is he always deals very much with time travel.
Yeah.
And Doctor Who is a time travel show, but for literally 27 years of his history, with the original series, and then for 5 years under Russell T Davies, all that happens is he arrives, the time travel and the space travel merely gets him to point A at the start of the story. He has it as an adventure and then leaves. And with the probably exception of maybe the William Hartnell story, The Ark, and The Chase, and the Tom Baker story, City of Death, time travel doesn't really play a part in the actual stories themselves.
No.
But in all of Moffat's stuff, there's a lot of mixing about with time and time streams, and in this story, when Mark Sheppard's character first turns up, is actually as an old man. Is actually paid by his dad, W. Morgan Sheppard.
Right, yes.
And the first thing he says to them is, "This is the first time you're meeting me, but it's the last time I'm meeting you." And River Songs keeps on talking about how her and the Doctor are having a backwards relationship.
Yeah, so River Song is getting progressively younger.
Yes.
As we see her.
But
every adventure.
this was an idea Moffat first played about with in Girl in the Fireplace.
Yes.
With Madame Pompadour, where she has a relationship with the Doctor which lasts her entire life. But for the Doctor, it's just a few hours.
Just a few moments, yes.
And then he went back to that when he first introduced Amy Pond. That was very, very similar to what happened with Madame Pompadour.
Yeah.
In that he has this relationship with her, which is just a few minutes to him, yet it has this profound impact upon her entire life.
Yes, no, indeed. No, it'll be interesting. And of course, there was another clue. I think was the prototype TARDIS, which I think we have a still there from, which is actually from
which
Lodger,
been previously seen.
This was from last season's episode. Yet we've seen it again now. And is it the same one, or is it just a generic?
I don't think they would use something so similar, because fans try to connect these dots.
Yeah.
And if you do something that similar, fans start connecting dots which aren't there. And I think they're very aware of that on Doctor
And are
Who.
these creatures using this particular... Do we think those creatures are using this particular TARDIS?
It could be a mind game set up by the creatures, so...
Well, I understand James Corden is reappearing in it.
He is reappearing in it as well.
Yes.
So is he connected as well somehow? That's just what I was, I guess, saying about, nothing's really... We'll get some resolution in next week's episode, or this week's episode, but there will be definitely far more loose ends.
Well, I think this is setting up, because Moffat's saying that this is going to be the season's going to be split up into two halves.
Yeah.
And apparently episode 7 is going to be a game changer. And I think this is starting up a plot which is going to be continued throughout the season to this huge cliffhanger at the end of episode 7, which of course episode 7... Would it be too much spoilers for me to say everybody I think knows who the bad guys are turning up in A Good Man Goes to War?
I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. No.
I don't know either. And that's
okay, so I'm not going to say anything.
Let's keep the spoiler free if we can.
Okay.
But we do have the clips of the promos for Day of the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
The UK one for BBC One.
Okay, here we go.
This world is ours.
We are not fighting an alien invasion. We're leading a revolution.
Wait till you see what's coming for you now.
But the BBC America one is actually quite...
Yeah.
Did you watch that? Let's have a look at
that. Let's have a look at that one.
You just saw one of the creatures we're fighting. Describe it to me.
I can't.
No, neither can I.
The exact second you're not looking at them, you can't remember anything. This world is ours.
This isn't an alien invasion. They live here. This is their empire. We know they can influence human behavior any way they want.
Like posted not a suggestion.
Do you even know why you're doing this?
You have to trust me and nobody else.
The little girl said the spaceman was coming to eat her. Maybe that's exactly what happened.
We are not fighting an invasion. We're leading a revolution.
Doctor Who.
So it seems to actually, what I noticed on the American one, seemed to be slight more emphasis on Mark Sheppard, the big guest star of the episode.
But also, there's more emphasis in the American one, I think, on terror, creepiness, and the BBC One British one was more emphasising action, you know. But I think there's quite a few clues there.
I mean, I think the American one felt like watching a trailer before you actually going to see the main feature of a film, and it was kind of like nicely sort of set up sort of thing, and I found that more engaging. But also at the same time with our UK one, it's just getting straight to it and straight to the point, and doesn't want to give too much away, which is actually really good.
And what did you think of the major guest star of the episode, Mark Sheppard?
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you remind us what shows he's done?
What shows hasn't he done? Firefly, Dollhouse. He's currently on Supernatural. We've got his number one fan, Jonathan Woodward, in the corner here.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a never out of work English actor in America. So they needed an American on the show, so they flew an English actor over from America to play him.
Do we have any comments in the chat room?
Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, because Mark's father actually played the older version of his character.
Yeah, W. Morgan Sheppard.
Yeah, I did not know that until around about a little bit after the episode aired, because someone told me. I was like, whoa, really? And I was like, that is brilliant, you know, just to have father and son in the episode, and the same thing just to represent the younger one and the older one, which is brilliant casting, actually.
And that was his choice, actually, wasn't it? Because they told him, according to BBC, the Doctor Who Confidential, that they wanted to actually age him up. And he said, well, no, let's just get my dad in.
Yeah.
Anyway, the son getting his own dad in on the act as well.
Well, Mark recently directed for the Sci-Fi Channel a TV movie of Mysterious Island, in which his dad is playing Captain Nemo.
For the Sci-Fi Channel?
Yes, in the States.
And not like Shark versus
no, it's not Mega Shark versus Ultra Octopus in a Giant Tornado Part 6. But it's a remake of the Jules Verne story of Mysterious Island.
Okay.
Mark Sheppard's directed it, and W. Morgan Sheppard's playing Captain Nemo, and Mark Sheppard's playing young Captain Nemo in flashbacks in it. So they have done this thing of...
Interesting, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
By the way, there is a new Sci-Fi Channel film coming soon. Do you have heard of this one?
No, what is it?
Two-headed shark attack.
Oh.
And it's a giant shark with two heads.
Oh.
So now, even if you try and swim away one side, the other head will probably grab you.
And no doubt the shark looks like it was animated by a Generation 1 Sony PlayStation.
Yeah.
No, it was actually generated by Sega Saturn.
Doctor Who Ellis says very much enjoyed Mark Sheppard's character. I believe there is more to him than we see in part 1.
I think there'll probably be some more. I'm hoping there'll be some more development to his character in Day of the Moon or Day to the Moon. I can't remember what it's called. So, yeah, Day of the Moon. Yeah.
And do we think, last series there was that episode with Amy being pregnant?
Yes.
Which is sort of in an alternative universe kind of way.
Yeah.
But now she's actually says she is pregnant this time round. Any significance? I mean, it seemed like
I think there could be some gifts. I'm wondering who did she tell first? Does Rory know this? Did she wait to tell the Doctor first?
I mean, that is an interesting thing. I was quite surprised, though, that she actually told the Doctor first rather than Rory. I mean, because they're married and that, and I'm thinking like, there must be something more than meets the eye. Again, another Transformer reference there.
Good. Well, BBC, I think it's BBC America, have released 2 preview clips of Day of the Moon. Do we think it's too much spoilers? I mean, they have been released. They are actually.
Well, how about we show them? We're telling you now. We're going to show you this clip. So if you're worried about spoilers, honey, you look away from YouTube now for a few seconds.
This is not like they've been released. They're actually on the BBC America's website. They are out there.
So look away for a second or two if you're worried about spoilers.
So you've seen them, but you don't remember them.
You've seen them too. That night at the warehouse, remember? While you were pretending to hunt us down, we saw hundreds of those things. We still don't know what they look like.
It's like they edit themselves out of your memory as soon as you look away. The exact second you're not looking at them, you can't remember anything.
Sometimes you feel a bit sick, though, but not always.
So that's why you marked your skin?
Only way we'd know if we'd had an encounter.
How long have they been here?
That's what we've spent the last 3 months trying to find out.
Yeah, not easy if you can't remember anything you discover.
How long do you think?
As long as there's been something in the corner of your eye, or creaking in your house, or breathing under your bed, or voices through a wall. They've been running your lives for a very long time now, so keep this straight in your head. We are not fighting an alien invasion. We're leading a revolution.
There we go. Yes.
So we're getting a sense that these creatures have been around a long, long time. And actually that TARDIS in the lodger was supposed to have been there for quite some time as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is interesting.
Should we have a look at the next clip?
Doctor Who Ellis, by the way, has actually typed in one of... I'm not going to read it out.
Mm-hmm.
She's typed in one of the theories about River Song, which is currently going around Twitter right now.
Yeah, that's one of the rumours I've heard as well. So,
and, but some people might not like it to be read out because it might be considered... If it ends up being true, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it is quite a... it is an interesting theory. And it could tie things up quite neatly, I suppose.
But
if we want that, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Moffat's writing, as you know, is kind of complex and it's good, though. So.
And also that we had a couple of people saying that Amy felt sick, got the morning sickness after she saw the silence. River also felt ill after seeing them. Perhaps she's not really pregnant.
Again, mind game again, you know, by the silence, you know, putting thoughts in or something, who knows?
Okay, I don't think that's the next one.
Okay then.
But,
okay, so out of 10, what would you give?
Impossible Astronaut out of 10? As an opening for a series, I thought it was actually very good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's got all the hallmarks of showing that this is going to be a great season, so I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10.
At the moment, I'm probably going to give it an 8. I mean, when I did a review on my own YouTube channel, I left it silent until once both parts are up, so then I can fully absorb it. I mean, with any sort of two-part, it's going to start slow, and hopefully the second part is going to be really paced. And I agree with Elsner. I'd give it an 8 as well so far.
For me, I thought it's Moffat, some of his best writing. He's firing in all cylinders.
Yeah.
Matt Smith has really come into his own in the role. Karen Gillen has got to be the hottest woman on TV. Rory is a lot less annoying than he was last season. River Song is back. So out of 10, I'll give it a jammy dodger.
I take it that's quite good.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a good one, yeah.
And a Fez.
And a Fez, definitely. Because Fezes are cool.
Right.
So what should we move on to next then, Elazar?
Weird World of Who.
The Weird World of Who.
And we have...
And the World of Who can get
a royal
very, very
wedding
weird at
Dalek.
times. Royal wedding Dalek.
Should we put that...
A royal... Do you want to have another look at the royal wedding Dalek? There we go.
You know, we know that they can make very good tea. Can they make very good tea cakes and hymns?
You know that now the Terry Nation estate won't actually allow anybody to use Daleks and anything which makes them look stupid.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think it's too late for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
fans are going to do whatever they want. Did you ever watch that film, Abducted by the Daleks?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll show it to you one day.
Have you ever seen the outtakes from Looney Tunes Back in Action?
Okay, so what else we had in the weird world of... We had,
on eBay. What's for sale on eBay at the moment?
Actually, no, it just finished yesterday. Unfortunately,
it did.
Yeah, they wanted £2,500 for an actual TARDIS.
And what did they get for it?
They got 0 because no one bid on it.
No. Oh.
So that's a shame. But if you're actually interested in bidding, why don't you just email the guy and
if
say,
you've got $2,500 to waste,
put it back on. We want that. You want that TARDIS.
Yeah.
And then okay. Some new merchandise is now available, and this is the painting from the very opening scene of the Impossible Astronaut.
Yes.
It's now available as a poster.
Is Matt Smith really that buff?
Well, I don't know. He's probably very skinny though.
Is that one for the ladies?
So is there any ladies who are watching want to put into the chat?
Or are there any guys? What will Russell T Davies be ordering 5 copies of it?
So yeah, some weird. If you guys out there, have you got some really interesting things for the weird world of Who? Send them our way. thosevideoguys@gmail.com, or you can do @TalkingWho on our Twitter. Yes, so please send them our way. We're always interested in these funny little things.
Okay, now for a bit of classic Doctor Who.
Yes, it is now our DVD review spot.
DVD review time. And what are we reviewing this week?
It is Planet of the Spiders.
Yep. Ah, yes, the final ever Jon Pertwee story.
Yeah, indeed. And you actually talking about this one last week.
Yes.
You said you actually remember the regeneration.
I clearly, it was one of the things I very clearly remembered. I think I was about 4 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And, as long as I can remember, I've always watched Doctor Who, and I could always very, very clearly remember the regeneration from Jon Pertwee through to Tom Baker.
Well, we've got the trailer for Planet of the Spiders, so should we start off?
They always do really good trailers.
Oh yeah, definitely for the coming soon stuff.
Who are you?
They call me the Great One.
Spiders?
I have come to give you the power you seek.
This give us power?
More power than you dared to dream of. Stop! If you come any further, Doctor, you will die, and I need you alive.
Doctor, please wake up.
The moment approaches.
What moment?
The moment I have been waiting for.
Where did the crystal come from, anyway?
Oh, I brought it back some time ago from a planet called Metebelis 3.
Ready.
It has strange properties, a Metebelis crystal. Can affect the mind.
Mind? You mean it could drive someone mad?
You took the one last perfect crystal of power. I must have it.
No. No, never.
Good grief. You know what you have to do?
Is there no other way?
None.
Give me the crystal. I shall be the ruler of the entire universe.
Please, don't die.
Tear? Sarah Jane? Oh, don't cry. While there's life.
Well, Barry, you actually reviewed this recently on your YouTube channel.
Oh, my blog, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I really did like with Planet of the Spiders is a definite. It's the fact that it's something that links in with a previous story like the Green Death, that Joe sends the crystal back because it's sort of like has this.
There's actually a whole lot of links like that because you've also got Mike Yates, who in the previous story, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, had turned out to be a traitor, and this story is almost like he gets a chance to come in and redeem himself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the story was written by Robert Sloman and uncredited
Barry Letts.
Barry Letts.
Yes,
So
who also directed it as well.
He directed it. He said, in the documentary, he wanted to achieve to write a story, produce and direct a story, and he actually got it with Planet of the Spiders. So
we've got a comment in the chat room. Doctor Who Ellis got Planet of the Spiders last week, and for the first time viewing, I absolutely loved it. Great acting by John, Lisa, and Nick. It's just a wonderful story.
Yeah, and
the one problem I have with it, and it's more of taking it out of its time, I suppose, and looking at it now. But I always feel that whenever you watch now the 6-part stories, and if you watch them in one go, you always watch them and you go, nearly every 6-parter or more, with probably the exception of Talons of Weng Chiang or Genesis of the Daleks, I've always gone, you could lop an episode or two out
I would agree
of this.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got a picture of the, is it the Hooverville or the hovercraft?
The hovercraft, yes.
I mean,
there's this huge
episode.
extended sequence which goes on for no reason other than the fact that Jon Pertwee wanted to drive every kind of vehicle possible.
I think they just watched the latest James Bond film that must have come out. I think it was Live and Let Die probably around that time. Yeah. And there's a really long chase scene in Live and Let Die.
But not just that, they even copy that thing that they do in every single Bond thing. They did it in where you've got a tramp lying on the floor And Jon Pertwee suddenly comes across in this hovercraft, and the tramp's going, "What was that?" And they do that in all the James Bond ones.
If it was an American film, he'd have a paper bag with a drink in it. And he wouldn't think that it was real.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they went. I mean, I was watching the documentary. They went to different conventions and that, and different things and that, and they would say, John would say, "Oh, I like this," to Barry Letts, and then they would suggest the idea and that, and even Barry Letts has said. It's a bit pointless, that scene, even in the documentary, saying, why did we include this?
Well, the thing is, it adds nothing to the plot line, but it's not a boring sequence. It's, there's lots of stuff happening, it's action.
It's something that Doctor Who used to do back in those days, right up into the 80s, when they were given a little bit of extra money of a budget to actually do something, and so they would actually then just do way more than they would need to.
Yeah.
For instance, when they give a budget like Arc of Infinity, let's go to Amsterdam and shoot, you just spend just hours just running around Amsterdam because they were there, and so they felt they had to use it.
It's a funny thing when you look at Doctor Who from the 60s and 70s, when they would be doing 6, 7 or 8 part stories, and they're really extending a story way beyond it should.
Yeah.
And now when you've got Doctor Who, and you've got a story, and they've got to tell that story in 44 minutes,
and
it is not really given. It's kind of like gone from one extreme to the other. I feel.
I think Planet of the Spiders could have been like 5 parts.
For me,
it would have worked very
for
nicely.
me, the show really came into its own as soon as they got to the Spiders' home planet.
Yes.
That's when it became very interesting. I like the whole hierarchy they had with the spiders themselves and the backstory that they were space colonists and so forth. I felt that was all very interesting.
And they did tie the spiders to Earth, so it's it wasn't like, oh, there happens to be another race of spiders that look exactly the same.
And I love that thing where the spiders could actually kind of like control somebody by this very, very scary image of the spider on Sarah Jane's back.
Of course, that image was then used again in the David Tennant episode.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Turn left.
Turn left.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. They kind of copied that.
But it's a very. I'm sure for children it must have been terrifying, the idea of this creature on your back, so you can't actually do anything about it. There.
But what was missing in the Metabolus 3 set scenes was that sort of blueness that you'd had in the when he actually found the crystal in the first place.
Yeah, that's what Mark Giston talked about in the documentary. I mean, the thing is, they use CSO, and Barry this is what Terence Dix, I'll quote him, said, Barry absolutely loved it, and Terence thought it was absolute trouble. And I agree with Mark Giston in the documentary, it was a bit of a letdown, the CSO, for the background of Metabolus 3, definitely. So
CSO is one of those kind of special effects. And it's funny, basically CSO was devised for newsreaders to give a background for newsreaders, and suddenly they're trying to use it in drama shows, and I'm sure at the time it seemed like cutting edge effects, but it dated really very, very quickly.
It did, yeah. But it's a good story.
And the other interesting thing is, Doctor Who at this point had been on for 11 years. Yet this is the first time they fully explained the concept of regeneration, which has now actually become part of the Doctor Who proper lore. When it took 11 years for that to become part of Doctor Who.
Indeed, and of course, it did have an introduction of another Time Lord in the series, which to me just came completely. The last thing you expect, something that's bring in, what seemed quite random at the time, just this.
Literally.
This is other Time Lord who seems to have also forsaken Time
Lord
society.
They did keep on bringing.
There
seemed to be a whole lot. There seemed to be a whole lot of Time Lords who've given up on Time Lord society throughout.
Is he still around?
I mean, is he still around? Is Drax still around? Is the Rani still around? Would any of those gone back to Gallifrey to fight the Daleks? I mean, if you got a call from Gallifrey, we need you to fight the Daleks. What would you say? You'd be like, no, I'm going to stay in Tibet, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So you're checking what's...
are saying, I'm looking around for spiders now.
Yeah.
And everyone's telling her they're on her back. I tell you...
Should we have a look at the regeneration itself? We've got a clip of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, he will look quite different.
Not again.
And it will shake up the brain cells a little. You may find his behavior somewhat erratic.
Well, when will all this happen?
Well, there's no time like the present, is there? Goodbye. Look after him.
Now, wait a moment.
Look, Brigadier, look. I think it's starting.
Well, here we go again.
Tom Baker. It becomes Tom Baker.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
In the Briggs' own words.
Yes.
I heard that Nicholas Courtney actually wrote that line himself, did that himself, because he was given the original line and he didn't like it. He said, I want to do it, and I think that line came out of that and it actually worked. And
it's part of his character. It's just, it's almost slightly nonchalant, but the Briggs' great. We need to do a proper, like we did for Elizabeth Sladen last week, we'll do a proper...
What do you think of the tribute to Elizabeth Sladen on CBBC?
On CBBC, I really enjoyed it.
Do you know what really actually disappointed me about it? At the end I was a bit disappointed, was it was all basically loaded towards her work. They talked to Matt Smith.
There wasn't enough.
They talked to David Tennant. Matt Smith, how much has he worked with?
He had one episode.
David Tennant. They only gave a couple of seconds to the kids from the show.
Yeah.
And I almost got the impression they only spoke to Katie Manning because she had done the new, but they didn't have Tom. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Tom Baker was not, and there was virtually no clips really from her period with Tom Baker.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Philip Hinchcliffe on the show. And Tom Baker did such a touching and moving tribute to her on his website.
Yes.
And that wasn't even quoted on the BBC web. They just quoted Matt Smith and David Tennant. And I really found that very peculiar myself. But I was
still selling a product, aren't they?
Yes.
The current
I mean,
series.
I was so happy that they did that tribute for her.
Yeah.
But as I said, I just felt it was just geared towards just paying tribute to her work on New Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane Adventures, whereas
BBC 4 on May the 9th and May the 10th are re-showing Henry V.
Yeah, I've heard that. So
tribute. So.
And it is actually going to be fully. They've been given them by the restoration team, so it's fully restored episodes.
Yeah.
They haven't got anything that's going to look a bit ropey.
The DVD extras of Planet of the Spiders, I really enjoyed watching these.
Well, they're always. I've got to say. All of us here, and I'm sure most of the people in the message board and watching this at the moment, we've seen all these stories before. We own them on video, but the real selling point for me, there's two selling points for me on these DVDs. There's the fact that the episodes have been cleaned up, they're in pristine condition, virtually no shows that are being released from that period will look this good when you get them.
Yeah.
And then you get a total full set of every kind of extra possible. You get commentaries, you get a documentary of the making of it, you'll have documentaries on other aspects of it, of characters, you'll have a photo gallery, you'll have...
Watching these documentaries on Planet of the Spiders, and I don't know if you felt this as well, when they basically were talking about Jon Pertwee's era as the Doctor.
Yeah.
And prior to that, obviously, you'd had Patrick Troughton, and the show had been losing viewers.
Yes.
And was sort of becoming what was considered around the BBC as a bit of a joke.
Well, it was actually at the point when Patrick Troughton said he was going to leave the show, they were ready to cancel it.
Yeah.
And it was only, from what I understand, they were going to basically do a new version of Quatermass. And it was only at the last minute when Nigel Neal said, no, you can't do this.
Basically, you had this new team in. They reinvigorated the show. They recreated the show, made it action and adventure.
Yeah.
And Jon Pertwee had 4 very successful years.
Five
years
yes.
as a Doctor. And then you had a complete unknown person taking over at the end of Planet of the Spiders in Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, with
Matt Smith and David Tennant.
Yeah.
I actually somehow feel though what is turning out at the moment with Matt Smith and David Tennant is more a Tom Baker, Peter Davidson scenario, because the show has lost 2 million viewers and he's not getting the kind of press that David Tennant was getting. I mean, David Tennant was so successful that I think Matt Smith is a fan favourite.
Yes.
But it isn't quite hitting the general public in the way Peter Davison was a huge fan favourite, but hasn't hit the general public in the. But there is definitely a parallel with what Barry Letts did with the show and with what Russell T Davies did with the show, where he came in with the show which was becoming a bit of a dinosaur, was losing ratings, was becoming a bit of a joke in the BBC, and basically made it cool again. And a lot of people forget that now. And I see a lot of reports on TV going on about Doctor Who, and they say, oh, it was always nerdy and geeky and blah. It actually, in the 70s, throughout all of Jon Pertwee's era and throughout all of Tom Baker's, it was a cool show, and it was just as popular as it is now.
Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Any other last words on Planet of the Spiders?
Do we have a thing from one of the DVD extras?
I don't know if we've got enough time to show it though. But I would just, I'd recommend buying this if you haven't seen it already.
Well,
the documentaries were just really compelling. It has some really, really good stories, like Jon Pertwee's supposed departure. That's kind of like a mystery we'll never ever know. There's also the supposed end story that it was written for the Master, not for...
Well, it was never actually written, but the whole idea they were working towards, the final story would be the final Master story, and unfortunately with Roger Delgado's passing, the unfortunate accident that he was in, they were unable to do that.
Okay, we've got a question from the Johnny561.
Yeah.
Answer this. Is Matt Smith Doctor the 12th? Because David regenerated twice.
No, it'd still be the 12th. It'd still be the 12th Doctor.
The 11th Doctor.
11th Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd still be the 11th. Yeah.
Yeah, because that regeneration doesn't really count, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would recommend this one. And of course, there's a great Elizabeth Sladen episode as well.
I mean, it feels weird actually watching that ending sequence that, all the actors in that scene and even the director have now passed on in that.
Well, Barry Letts, Nicholas Courtney and Elizabeth Sladen all went in within a few months of each other. So
I'm really glad that they were able to do the commentary. I heard that when Barry Letts was ill, Elizabeth Sladen said, we want to do the commentary with Barry Letts, the Planet of the Spiders, and that was a very, very showful respect, because if it wasn't for Barry Letts, we wouldn't have had Elizabeth Sladen and Sarah Jane. That's the honest truth, and I said that during my tribute to Elizabeth Sladen, so God bless them all, definitely.
We're having a bit of a Matt Smith, David Tennant debate at the moment. Lisa Gifford won. The David Tennant thing just got ridiculous, though. The show became all about the actor. X-Redder says, Matt Smith is a fantastic Doctor. I'm starting to like him more than Tennant, almost.
And we can't repeat some of the comments that have been said.
Really? Okay. Leah Sora says, Matt Smith exhausts me, which is a good thing.
Do you know what I actually loved in the last episode of Doctor Who, actually? I forgot to say this was, I have a running gag I've been having with my friends. Every time we talked about Doctor Who, I would joke that Matt Smith has a face like an Easter Island statue. And then suddenly they made that comment in the... So obviously they felt the same way. Stephen Moffat felt the same way as well.
I've got some Doctor Who Dalek jellies here. Would you like to try one?
Dalek jellies. Ooh. What does a Khaled mutant taste like?
Yeah. Okay, I'll better take the first one.
Oh. They are Dalek shaped as well.
They're Dalek shaped. They actually look like ones which are...
I don't know if you can see that on camera. Little Dalek jellies.
I find them quite nice, actually.
It's quite good.
Yeah, they're really good.
They are Doctor Who fruit flavoured jellies.
You know what? I'm going to have another one.
Absolutely, help yourself.
They're really
good. Let's move on to our Fan-Dorica section.
Fan-Dorica.
Opening up our wonderful world of the fandom. And let's start off with our clip of the week, which
Dr. Stew,
an animation, and it's called Dr. Stew.
Here we go.
My, you look such a dandy. Why, thank you. That wasn't a compliment. Are you still bitter that your master was played by Julia Roberts' deadbeat brother? At least I had a master, you reject from the Hair Club for Men. I say, that Captain Jack Harkness, he has such a nice butt. Do you think he works out? Anyone? Anyone? Nothing around here is safe anymore. Because of the Time War? No, some idiot put the schematics of the retardus on WikiLeaks. What? Really? A piece of celery? Why not just do the entire salad? That way you could just...
So there we go, that's Dr. Stew.
You can find that on youtube.com, Dr. Dr. Stew 42. Did you like this one?
I saw a quick clip of this exact episode, and I thought it was kind of funny. I mean, I used to like Family Guy, but not now. But the mixture of Family Guy and Doctor Who, I think it's really good.
It was brilliant. I thought it was quite ingenious, actually. Did you watch this one, Sean?
Yes, I watched it. I enjoyed this, although I am not. I'm a die-hard Family Guy hater.
Really?
I cannot stand Family Guy. So,
but the approximation of the voice was very good.
Yeah.
And I was amazed how the Stewie character actually works as a great little caricature of the Doctor.
I know
as well.
Yeah.
And also Brian as Brian or something.
Yeah, Brian as K9. And,
they've actually done on Family Guy itself quite a few actual Doctor Who jokes in there, especially in their Star Wars parody.
And The Simpsons did it.
Tom Baker keeps on turning up in this. I mean, not actual Tom Baker, but
a
fourth Doctor in the background keeps on walking around every
he's part of some sort of secret society that runs Springfield as well.
Oh, and also there was one episode, one of the Halloween episodes, in which Bart and Lisa have to fight the Collector, who's actually the comic book guy, and he has the ultimate fanboy collection, and in his collection is Tom Baker in a glass cage. And he's trying to kidnap Lucy Lawless to put in his collection.
I'm just typing into the chat room
the web address?
The web address for Dr. Stew, everyone. Didn't work. But it's Dr. Stew, DR, as in just DR, Stew, STEW 42. If you've got any, if you've watched any Doctor Who fan-made videos, please send them to us as well, because we'd love to see them, and we'll hopefully be able to review them next time. And also just a quick shout out to our podcast of the week, which is one I've been listening to this week. It's the Mostly Harmless Cutaway podcast, which sounds like it should be a Hitchhiker's Guide one. But it's two guys, Josh and Eric, and they have a very fun time doing it. They don't take itself too seriously.
There's something about, also you say about it sounds like Hitchhikers, but there's something about Hitchhikers and Doctor Who. They're very closely linked.
They are.
Oh yeah, because of Douglas Adams.
But it's even so. I mean,
BBC produced TV series as well.
Douglas Adams' humour is very similar. And of course he came to write for the show and script editor, but it's very similar kind of humour to what Doctor Who humour is.
Yeah.
And as you say, both produced by the Doctor with very similar production values. So there's just something about, if you like Doctor Who, you're going to like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I think so, especially the BBC series, which is definitely a DVD worth buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're almost out of time, but... yes, there was a little bit of TARDIS talk here.
So what's TARDIS talk?
Well, if we go to that image there...
Yes,
now this image is a screen grab taken from the very long Season 6 or Season 32 trailer.
Is that Rory just there?
So it looks like Rory and Amy, and they're peeking into what looks like the 9th and 10th Doctor's console room. Now this is actually from the trailer for the whole series.
Is that an energy burst there? Is that a regeneration? Is there something
thought I'd leave
inside?
that with people to discuss amongst themselves, see what you think. Stephen Moffat playing with time again.
Well, see, Matt, that's all he does is play with time. Time is his Play-Doh.
So anyway, that's it for our show for this week.
Yes.
Thank you very much all for joining us.
And don't forget, this Saturday,
Day of the Moon, aka the Impossible Astronaut Part 2. Do you refer to every episode or the double parters? Do you like to just use maybe the first one as a reference to the whole story?
That's how you end up doing it, you know.
Because it's a bit of a mouthful saying, do you enjoy Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon? This story is just called The Impossible Astronaut. It's Part 1 and Part 2, really.
Yeah, definitely. That's
how I think they should just go back to those things.
I mean, they did do that though near the end of Dave 10.
At the end of time, and I thought that meant the start of perhaps them carrying that on, but they didn't in the end. But it's been fun this week. We will be back next week to discuss Day of the Moon. And Twitter, we're going to put that up now.
Well, our Twitter and details are going to come up at the very end.
Yes, Twitter at Those Video Guys, and also at Talking Who.
There you go, Those Video Guys. Our Facebook.
Facebook.com/Those Video Guys. And of course, right here, you're already on the channel. You might as well subscribe. YouTube.com, Those Video Guys TV.
And be sure to like all our videos as well.
You can catch Barry doing his vlogs on youtube.com/Barry Aldridge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, not only I do Doctor Who stuff, I do loads and loads of other stuff as well that goes on in my life, really.
And you've reviewed quite a lot of the episodes already.
Oh yeah, definitely. Whether it's like on my blog or on videos, but hopefully I might review some classic series Doctor Who stories.
Yeah, it'd be good to see your opinion. It's always good.
And we'll be back here at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock next week, and of course preceded at 8 o'clock by Those Video Guys episode 22. See you next week.
Take care then.
Bye
bye.